What is up, Armchair fandom? This is DaRealLastJedi coming to you with another video. Today we're going to be talking to you about Top Gun Maverick, a sequel about 40 years in the making. Me and Ashley went out and seen that yesterday. We want to talk to you about it today. Before we get started, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button on the videos you enjoy. If you have any suggestions for you, send them to us on the comment section below the video, or you can reach us at Facebook, at the Facebook group Armchair Fandom, or you can reach me at on Twitter at armchair_fandom. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified of when we have more content available. And if you, like I said already, if you don't care, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what kinds of content you'd like for us to cover. And with all that said, let's bring in Darth Pane. Sleep as always.
What do you want, Lucas?
If you quit sleeping and actually put some effort into our channel, we might actually get something done. I got my shirt on. Call back to the time period, greatest time on planet Earth, the 80s.
Well, all that is true, but you're not getting a medal for putting your shirt on. I know that's a landmark event for you during the day, but putting on a shirt, the rest of us set our bar a little higher than that, sir.
Yeah, well, I don't, and
I can believe it.
I come prepared for the show, unlike you. This is an 80s callback. Like I already told the audience, when you went and checked out Top Gun Maverick yesterday.
We did.
And before we get into any kind of spoiler information, I just want to get each of our reactions. Me personally, I thought this was a very, very good movie. Now, with that said, I wouldn't put it on par. It's a very good movie for me. I wouldn't put it on par with some of my favorite movies of all time. It's in a kind of different category for me in the fact that it's a great callback. It's a great sequel. Most of the time when these movies come out that try to be a sequel to something that was out so long ago, it usually don't really work all that well. And but you can watch this movie, and if you go back and watch the original Top Gun recently before you go see this, you can see a lot of care put into this movie to actually be a sequel to the original, as far as the plot, the storyline, some of the characters, the shots, the cinematography, all that stuff in this movie. Just key moments like musical cues at certain moments. You can really see a lot of love and care put into this to make it a true sequel to the original.
I would agree with that. And not only that, I mean, they bring back, I mean, like you said, if a person goes and watches the original one before this, you will see that there are callbacks, names that people you're not familiar with in the second one that actually are mentioned and referenced in the first movie. And again, they do a tremendous job of and again, I saw an interview with Miles Teller on Jimmy Kimmel the other day, and he was talking about how they had filmed this movie years ago, but because of the beer bug, that they weren't actually able to go out and release it when they wanted to. But he said COVID wasn't going to stop Tom Cruise, and it didn't, because this movie really shows that time and patience really paid off.
Another thing I like about this movie, before we get into any spoilers, it's been out a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
So
there's probably a lot of news. Some people's probably already seen it. We're late to the show on it. We just couldn't get our schedules lined out where we could actually make it out to the theater to see it. You called me up. I was already planning on seeing it sometime this week, and you called me up and asked me if I wanted to go. So we went and seen it yesterday. But before the movie even starts, man, and this is what a lot of the franchises me and you follow do not get, I really appreciated the intro to this movie with Tom Cruise sitting there actually telling the fans that the movie was made for them and there was a lot of love and care put into it for the fans. And I wasn't a huge fan of the original Top Gun. It was an okay movie. I'd seen it a few times. I really wasn't asking for this movie, but I really appreciated that because most franchises today, they set their franchises up to immediately come out and blame the fans if they don't like the product that they're putting out. They'll call them racist or misogynist or just put some kind of label on them just because they don't appreciate what they're doing to the franchises that they love. So I appreciated that take that the fans are the ones that buy the tickets and support these products. Without the fans, Hollywood wouldn't exist.
Absolutely right. And like you're talking about, it's been, like you say, 40 years in the making, but this was the top movie when I graduated high school in 1987. And this was the movie that was taking the theaters by storm. This was, and look, I like the movie a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watched it over and over and over again like I do some of these Marvel movies, but I really enjoyed it. And I always wondered why there wasn't a sequel, since Tom Cruise was always into the Mission Impossibles and to keep making more of those. But I'm glad they did this, and I think it was well worth the wait.
I'm glad they did it too. Like you said, I remember the main theme song, the year it was popular on the radio, the summer that it was popular, 87. I probably don't remember much about this movie because I was having some health problems in 1987. I was having the first of a couple kidney transplants I've had in my life in 1987 in April. So that summer, I wasn't really interested in a lot of the goings on at the theater and stuff. And as a kid, you didn't get to just decide, hey, I'm gonna go this week to see this, that week to see that. As a kid, it was when your parents decided to take you to the theaters when you got to go.
Exactly right.
You just didn't bark out and tell them, "Hey, we're going to go watch this movie." Hey, yo, Dad, we're going to get in the car. We're going. It didn't work that way.
Nope.
So
Sure did.
I know it was a big movie, and I remember the theme song, but I did recently watch it, and I'd seen it before that. But with all that said, let's get into some spoilers. Uh, in keeping with his name, Maverick, his call sign, Tom Cruise's character, uh, he hasn't really had the most successful military career because he's always pushing edges and testing his commanding officers. So he hasn't really progressed up the ranks like you would imagine uh, a talent like him should have because just like the first movie, he kind of marches to the beat of his own drum and does what he wants to. So the movie starts out, he's actually testing an aircraft to see if he can get it up to Mach 10. And of course, the guy that's coming to shut the program down shows up right when he's not supposed to even take off on the test flight. And the commanding officer that comes, the admiral that comes to shut the program down, he gets in it and takes off anyways and gets up to Mach 10 while the admiral's standing there. And of course, all of that, plays out. So instead of getting court-martialed, they kind of just let him slide like we've seen many times in the first movie.
Well, and not only that, but if you recall, the guy that Maverick was working with told said, "Look, I know we get the Mach 9, but we need to get the Mach 10 to keep him from shutting us down. Don't take it over Mach 10." And of course, Maverick being Maverick says, we're going to bump this up a little bit. 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, and here it goes, problems. And Ed Harris ends up talking to him and doing what you just outlined.
Yeah, did they have to bail him out? I don't remember. Did he have to eject?
I believe he had to eject because if you recall, when he ejected, he goes walking into a diner and he's all beat up, looks like he'd just come off a spaceship. And he asked the waitress at the diner, "Could I have a glass of water?" She gives him a glass of water, and he goes, "Where are we?" And the little kid looked and said, "Earth." That set the tone.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I mean, that might sound cheesy in a different movie, in a different situation, but it worked in that situation. They made it work. And
They did.
so then, because of all that, we find out he's getting sent back to Top Gun, the school that trains the Navy's best pilots to be fighter pilots. And the reason he's sent back there is not to fly, but to be a teacher, to train a group of Top Guns to carry out a mission to take out this. It was a uranium plant?
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
There's a uranium
Uh,
plant located in the mountains.
yeah, we're never told actually where it was, are we?
Or what? No, we've never told where it was, and we were never told who the enemy was.
Yeah, that was the same thing as the first movie.
Right.
They're entering in the first movie. They enter into enemy water, and there's planes up in the air, but we're never told what country they're from or anything like that. Same thing in this. We're never told that, which we don't need that information. All we're told is that there's a uranium plant. It's not nuclear yet. It's not a threat yet. The plant's there, and they're waiting on the delivery of the uranium. So the mission is to take this uranium plant out. The difficulty of the mission is that they had to fly under radar through this canyon with all these turns, twists and turns. They had to make the run within under like 2 minutes. And at the end of the run, there's a steep climb to get over the top of the mountain. They had to spin and nosedive to get an angle on the target. And then as soon as they drop the weapons, they have to immediately climb to, like, I think they said 8 Gs would be put on them in that climb to get back out of that canyon.
Yep.
And so the rest of the movie revolves around him trying to train these kids to be able to run this mission. And we're introduced to another romantic interest. I looked it up last night. It's not the same character that Kelly McGillis played. I was just
No.
curious about that.
This character apparently was mentioned. I found out was mentioned during the beginning of the first Top Gun movie when Goose and Maverick are being given down the road for one of Maverick's flybys. I heard that basically what happened is that when Goose asked him, he said, "Are we in as much trouble as you were last time you dated that certain admiral's daughter? She's the admiral's daughter."
Okay, so
Deep cut.
That's what you'd call a deep cut. A lot of people ain't gonna catch that. So I was just curious about that. I just made sure it wasn't Kelly McGillis's character because I couldn't remember Kelly McGillis's character's name. So I came home and checked that out. So there's a lot of callbacks. Like I said, there's the cinematography is identical to the first movie. It's got like a reddish haze to it in most of the shots. One thing I did like about it in today's get offended at everything, they did do the beach volleyball scene, but this time it was beach football. So you had all the guys out there without their shirts on, like the volleyball scene in the first one. Now I know the teenage chicks back in the '80s, if I'm allowed to say chicks around here, probably loved that scene. I leaned over to you when that was going on and said toxic masculinity. But I was glad they put that scene in there, man, just to rub it in, so to
Only thing
speak.
was missing was they should have used the Kenny Loggins thing playing with the boys. That Top Gun soundtrack had more than just Danger Zone on it. That soundtrack was outstanding.
Yeah, outstanding for the '80s, man.
Hey, the '80s was the decade, buddy. You and I both know it.
Yeah, it was a good decade. You had best of both worlds in the '80s. You had like the storm of pop culture and technology was coming in as far as like video games and all kinds of different things being introduced to pop culture. And you had a lot of famous franchises that got off the ground in the '80s. Most movies back before that were just one and dones most of the time. But the '80s was creating these franchises that became popular in pop culture. You had the shopping mall scene was going on. It was hitting its peak in the '80s. Uh, it was but you still got outside and played with your friends, because it wasn't all absorbing the way it's doing the kids today. Because you played a video game back in the 80s, there was an ending to it. You played through so many levels, you beat it, it was over.
It didn't keep going.
You set the controller down, you went outside. Now they just get in these immersive worlds where there's no ending to it. They sit there and play it for hours and hours. They never see the sunlight. But that's a rant that's not important to this discussion. At the end of the movie, he finally gets these pilots trained. Uh, they're getting ready to let him go from Top Gun. Am I mistaken on that?
No, that one, the guy played David Ham played the Admiral, who was basically once Val Kilmer's character, Iceman, passed away. That was basically Maverick's big backer was Ice. Him and Ice were really tight, and they were trying to get him out of there because the timeline got moved up, and he didn't like the way they were training him, and basically Maverick had to go out there and do what Maverick does: go out there and get the plane and go through and show that could be done. And if you think about it, not to get too much off the path here, it reminded me of Star Wars going through the Death Star trenches on New Hope. To do that. I mean, clearly different deal, but it had that feel to it.
It actually had that trench run feel in it, where he like you said, he has to go get a plane himself and take off and fly through that canyon and do both of the climbs and the roll and take out the target and climb back out to prove that it could be done. So then they decided to let him be the lead plane in the actual mission when it happens. And of course, we haven't yet mentioned the fact that the callback relationship in this movie is his partner in the first movie, Goose, his back seat flyer. I don't know what you call that.
Co-pilot.
The co-pilot, Goose, played by Anthony Edwards in the first movie, died. And his son is in this movie. He's one of the trainees that Tom Cruise's character Maverick is in charge of training, and he chooses him to be the pilot of the second wave of planes. They're supposed to fly in twos.
Yeah.
The first two planes,
Rooster.
His call sign was Rooster. And the first two planes take out the thing that's guarding the hole to the chemical plant, and then the second two planes are supposed to come in and shoot the kill shot. And he chooses Rooster, Anthony Edwards, Goose's son, to lead the second two planes. And then they each have a wingman. And so the mission takes place. Maverick is leading his two planes, and Rooster, like they've established through the rest of the movie, kind of thinks too much, and he's not keeping up the pace while this mission's going on. And finally, he calls back some things that Maverick told him, and he shoots the plane in the whatever you call it, man. I wanted to say hyperdrive, but that's a Star Wars term. But he increases the speed on his plane and is able to catch up with them.
Well, he was able to do that, and then once they did that, to get the climb out of there, then of course the enemy had their fifth generation fighters, which were supposedly technologically superior to anything that the U.S. had at this time. And basically, the whole point Maverick was trying to tell them that it's not about the plane; it's about who's in the cockpit. And basically, he managed to save Rooster from getting shot down by one of those planes, and in turn, Maverick's plane got hit and he crashed, and it looked like he died. Well, you were thinking he died, but then you see that he didn't. And this big helicopter kind of called back to Rambo, was getting ready to take him out. And the next thing you know, a missile comes and shoots it down. And who was it? It was Rooster.
And then he gets shot down.
Right.
So they're both stranded together. And a little part of the movie I didn't see coming. You got Rooster and Tom Cruise sneaking into the enemy base to steal a plane.
To steal an
escape.
F-14, no less. To steal an F-14 that Maverick and Goose flew all the time. Now it was the wheels come full circle. It's now Maverick and Rooster flying an old F-14. And what happens? They steal it, get it out of that moon base, which is almost impossible. But then they have to fight off another one of those fifth generation fighters.
Two of them.
Yeah, it was two of them. It was two of them.
Maverick takes one of them out, and he's trying. He don't have any weaponry or anything left. He's just basically dodging the thing at this point. And a great callback is there was one other character whose call sign was Hangman. And if you remember the first Top Gun movie, they grounded Maverick for the main mission, but Maverick takes off and saves Ice at the end of that movie.
Right.
Well, Hangman comes in and shoots the second plane out of the sky, and they both go back to the plane.
Yep.
And land, and then we see the celebration on the deck of the carrier.
Yeah.
Another callback to the first movie. I really liked this movie, man. I thought it was a good sequel considering how many years there had been between two movies.
Exactly. I mean, most of the time, when there's a big gap like this, you're just expecting all kinds of wheels off things to happen. But well, you can tell they know Tom Cruise and them people know what they're doing because they put together. I like the first one a lot. I may have liked the second one a little bit better than the first one, but the first one was really good. I mean, you got Val Kilmer, you got Anthony Edwards, you got Tom Skerritt, you got all these big time actors in it. But this crew did a really good job, and I have to say, Miles Teller was a perfect casting for Goose's son. I mean, my gosh,
I agree.
You put a mustache on, you couldn't tell a difference.
Yeah, he had the mustache just like Anthony Edwards. And the scene where he's got the sunglasses on sitting at the piano, I mean, it was, like you said, it was a great casting move because it looked just like Anthony Edwards Center. You could really believe that he was Goose's actual son.
Yeah, and another subplot to the movie had been because the tension between Goose and not Goose, between Rooster and Maverick was that Rooster told him, he said, "My dad believed in you." He said, "I'm not going to make that same mistake." And their relationship came full circle. Rooster never found out why Maverick pulled his application for the Naval Academy all those years was what his mom asked him to do. His mom didn't want his her son to fly. And boy, it just a great way their relationship came full circle, and it just when Rooster was in the Maverick's hangar there, where Maverick had that P-51 Mustang he liked to tinker around with and fly, Rooster goes in there and looks, and there's all those pictures of him and Goose. And then he had put some with Rooster in there. That's a way to perfect tie. That's a perfect wrap at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I agree, man. I would give this movie at least a 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
at least.
I give it a 4.5. It was that good.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's in a category of its own because it's so satisfying built on the previous movie. As far as a standalone movie, there's a lot of movies I have way up on my list. But I would still give this one, like you said, a 4 or 4.5 out of 5.
The thing of it is, this movie, everything I've heard, there was never, word of mouth was always good. I never heard anybody with a derogatory comment about it. And that's staying power. That's why it's still raking in cash. There hasn't been any bad reviews for it. There's nobody giving derogatory thing about it. And that equals success.
Yeah. All right, man, we're going to wrap this video up. You got any last things to add, Ashley?
Well, no, I just like to encourage everybody to go out and see that movie if they can. If you're an 80s fan, go see it. If you're not an 80s fan, go see it. It's that good, and it's got that kind of star power in it. And encourage everybody to watch our videos. Contact Jamie. Look for him on Facebook at Armchair Fandom and DaRealLastJedi. You can find me on Facebook at Ashley and on Twitter on @AshleyHouchins. Look for the lovely landscape of Corbon in the background, and you'll know it's me.
Yeah, like I said, if you like our content, like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment in the comment section below if there's content you'd like us to cover. leave that in the comment section. Any comments we get or ideas we get, we'll take them into consideration because we don't want to just we want to engage with the audience as
Right.
well. So whatever you want, just get in touch with us. Facebook group Armchair Fandom, Twitter at Armchair_Fandom. And with all that said, we're going to finish this video out. Have a nice day.
Later.